Hi there. This is the third video in my series for um, teaching guitar class in a group setting. And in this video, I'd like to briefly discuss the options or some options for an instrument and strings. Now, right from the start, I'd like to say that I'm not promoting or endorsing any guitar brands or string brands in this video. I'm simply sharing some of the things that I use in my classroom and in my own teaching experience. Now, in an ideal scenario, ideal for me anyways, I would like to use the Yamaha C40 guitar in my classroom. That retails around $140, I believe. But I simply can't afford a lot of those instruments to buy many guitars, so I usually end up using the Lucida LK-2. I've used this for many years. I have 17 or 18 of these in my classroom, which is more than enough. And actually, I did a review on this instrument a few days ago. I'll place a link in the comments below. This is a very inexpensive guitar. I think it sells for about $80 now. And it's a full-size nylon string guitar. It's quite sturdy. If you want to see some details about it, watch my review that I did a few days ago. So the reason I like these, well, a few reasons. Number one, I can afford a lot of them. Number two, they do get damaged quite often when you work with younger children. They get scratched and cracked. Last week, for example, I was tuning this one, and the tuning key broke off right there. So that'll happen with these guitars because they don't have high quality tuners. And then I have another one here that, you know, has big scratches on the back and little cracks here and there. So when you work with elementary school children, if you have more expensive guitars, they will get damaged. So if this guitar gets damaged, it's much easier for me to replace it next year or, you know, soon. So I tend to use the Lucida LK-2, which is good enough for a beginner, and that's what I've been using. Now, I also bought a few of the Lyons. This is from Lyons, and this was a little bit less expensive. I would probably not recommend this. This is quite flimsy, and they do break off at the joint here at the neck quite often. And I think this was like $59 or $60, something like that, and the sound is even worse than the LK-2. I would probably not recommend that, but I would recommend the LK-2 if you work, especially if you work in an elementary school music class. Now for strings, I change them quite often, so I try not to spend a lot of money on strings. I found these strings on Amazon a while back. These are Fenders. I don't see a serial number or model number, but they're Fender nylon strings. And I found them for $1 a set, which was ridiculously cheap. So I bought like a whole bunch. I have a whole bunch of them here. Of course, I always like the Dario. So these are the least expensive Dario strings that I know. So I use these also on some guitars. These are like $7 a pop, so if you change the strings a lot, then you'll go through your budget quite quickly. So if you can find these online, like I did, I would jump on the deal because these are pretty good. So I have some 17, 18 of these in my classroom. And they're not very large like a dreadnought guitar. Classicals are usually 38 to 40 inches long and not as thick as a dreadnought guitar. So they work really well, not just for the bodies of an 11-year-old, but also if you have a room that's not very large, they won't take as much space, and also they'll be easier to store. Well, so this is about it. This is about all I wanted to share today. I would recommend in an elementary setting something from the Lucida line like the LK-2, LG-510 maybe. And if you can afford anything better, if you have more money in your budget, I would definitely recommend the Yamaha C40, which is a superior instrument, and anything from the Cordoba line too, like the 3M, I believe the model is 3M. I would really go for that, but that's a little bit more costly. I think it's like $199. I would end this video by saying what I said in my previous one in the series, and that is that you should not wait, you probably should not wait for the ideal scenario, for a perfect scenario, when you have the best guitars available and the best room, because then you might wait too long. Just start teaching with what you can afford, with what you have now. I started teaching guitar class in my school some 10 years ago, and at first I had 5 of these because that's all I could afford, and then I bought more, and then I had 7, then I had 12, and now I have 17 or 18, and it's a great unit that kids love. We do it 3 or 4 times a year, and I would highly recommend that you get started with whatever you have. Well, if there's any specific questions about this, please write them in the comments below, and I will soon post the next video in the series, which will probably deal with teaching approaches to teaching guitar in a classroom setting. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.